Hello, fifth grade. I hope you're doing well. It is going to be now week 2, day 2 of the math packet today. So, with my trusty whiteboard that I just got, we are going to be focusing on page 23, add fractions with unlike denominators, page 24, add with mixed numbers, and then we're just going to do subtraction version. So page 25, subtract fractions with unlike denominators, and page 26, subtract with mixed numbers. Now, I'm going to be doing a quick overview about this, but if you're still struggling, I know that Mrs. Bell created a video that goes more in depth into it, so make sure you check that out as well. So while I erase the board, why don't you open your packet up to page 23, which is add fractions with unlike denominators. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2 on page 23. It's 1/2. We're doing number 2, 1/2 plus 3/8. Okay, 1/2 plus 3/8. So what we need to do first is we need to find the common denominator. A common denominator is a number that both 8 and 2 can go into. So I know that 2 can go into 8 and 8 can go into 8. So that is going to be our common denominator. And if you were struggling to figure that out, you can always write your multiples of 8 out. 8, 16, 24, 2, 4, 6, 8. Look at that. 8 and 8, right? They both have 8s in them. So the 8 would work, okay? So our common denominator for this one is going to be 8. So I'll write down the 8. Okay? I know that 2 times 4 is going to give me that denominator of 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. So 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. I know that 8 times 1 will give me that 8, the denominator of 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, which is the bottom number, I must do to my numerator, which is the top number. So 3 times 1 is going to give me 3. From here, I'm going to add them together. I will keep my denominator the same, which is 8, and 4 plus 3 is going to give me 7/8. Okay? I can check, can this be reduced? Nope, it is fully reduced because there is no number that goes into both 7 and 8. So that is my final answer for number 2 on page 23, 7/8. Now I'd like you to open up to page 24, okay? And we're going to look at number 4. On page 24, number 4, we're going to practice adding mixed numbers. So they have the problem as 2 3/4 plus 1/3. 2 3/4 plus 1/3. So this is not too bad. We're going to do basically the same thing. But first we have to take this mixed number, which is 2 3/4, and change it into an improper fraction. And in order to do that, we're going to have to do 2 times 4, right here. So we're multiplying the denominator by the whole number. 2 times 4, which gives me 8. And then I'm going to add plus 3, which is going to give me 11. So my numerator here is going to be 11/4. Okay? Once again, I multiplied the denominator by the whole number, and then I added the numerator to it. So 4 times 2 gave me 8, plus 3 gave me 11, and I keep my denominator the same. Then I'm going to add that 1/3. But before I can do any of that, I need to find my common denominator. So what number can both 4 and 3 go into? Well, I know off the top of my head, 12. Okay? If you didn't, you can always do 4 times 3, which gives me 12, or you can write out your multiples. 4, 8, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12. There's a match. 12. So my common denominator for this is going to be 12. I'll write my 12 down. So I need to know, well, 4 times 3 gives me that denominator of 12. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. So 11 times 3 gives me 33. I know that 3 times 4 gives me that denominator of 12. So 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. Then I'm going to add it. 4 plus 3, 33 plus 4, well 4 plus 3 is 7, bring down a 3, and I'm going to have 37 over 12. I cannot keep it like that because that's an improper fraction. So what I need to do is change my improper fraction into a mixed number. So what I need to first think about is, how many times can 12 go into 37? Well, I know that 12 times 2 is going to give me 24, and 12 times 3 would give me 36, and that's pretty close to 37. So I'm going to say 12 goes into 37 3 times. That's going to be my whole number. I know that 12 times 3 gives me 36, right? So from there, I'm going to take the numerator, 37, and I'm going to subtract it from 12 times 3, which is 36. Which 37 minus 36 is going to give me 1. So my numerator in this mixed number is going to be 1. I always keep the denominator the same. So my denominator here, 37 over 12, well, my denominator is 12, so my denominator for my mixed number is going to be 12. Now, if you wanted to check to make sure that your mixed number is equivalent to 37 over 12, well, we can do what we just did above here. We know that 12 times 3 is going to give us 36, plus 1 gives us 37 over 12. So we know that we converted it correctly. You are going to do the same thing for subtraction. I will do a problem on subtraction. Go to page 25. We'll do number 2 together. On page 25. 1/2 minus 3/8. I know that my common denominator for 2 and 8 is going to be 8. 2 times 4 gives me that denominator of 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. 1 times 4 gives me 4. I know that 8 times 1 gives me that denominator of 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. So 3 times 1 is going to give me 3. And 4 minus 3 gives me 1. I keep the denominator, so my answer for number 2 is going to be 1/8. If you flip to page 26, our last one, we're going to do the same thing like we did for addition, but we're just subtracting. So if you want to take number 2 on page 26, we have 2 and 1/8. Number 2 on page 26, 2 and 1/8. 2 and 1/8 minus 1/2. Okay? So first we need to change that mixed number into an improper fraction. And remember what we have to do? We first multiply the denominator by the whole number. 8 times 2 gives me 16, plus the numerator, plus 1, is going to give me 17. So I'm going to have 17 over 8 minus 1/2. We know the common denominator for 8 and 2 is going to be 8, because I can't just simply subtract yet. I have to find the common denominator. So, our common denominator is going to be 8. We know that 8 times 1 is going to give us that denominator of 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. 17 times 1 gives me 17. 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. 17 minus 4 is going to give me 13. over 8. I cannot keep it like that because that's an improper fraction. So I need to tell myself, how many times can 8 go into 13? Well, I know that my multiples go like this, 8, 16, right? So that's too big. So 8 can only go into 13 one time. So my whole number is going to be 1. 1 times 8 gives me 8. So now I need to subtract the numerator from that number. So 13 minus 8 is going to give me 5. And I keep my denominator the same, which is 8. So my answer is going to be 1 5/8. If I wanted to check it, I could do 8 times 1, which gives me 8, plus 5 gives me 13, and that'd be 13 over 8 right here. Okay? So that's how you add, subtract, mixed numbers, and how you add and subtract unlike denominators. So if you're still struggling with that, Miss Bell has a great video on it, so check that out. I miss you all so much. Yeah, and so just stay with it. We're all in this together, and be kind to each other. Bye.